Good morning and welcome to the JMCSS podcast for the district. I'm Dr. Carrie Ann Breeden, principal at JCM Middle School. Our 13,000 students are gaining quality academic instruction tuition free in our public schools. Today, we'll visit with students from JCM Middle School. I have implemented several initiatives to impact the climate and culture at JCM to restore the roar.
A round of applause for Dr. Carrie Ann Breeden. Welcome. She's principal at JCM Middle School. Now we have to read the fine print. For the district, the JMCSS podcast is a production of the Jackson-Madison County School System in partnership with Forever Communications. You can listen to this episode on demand on Apple iTunes, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. Dr. Breeden, welcome to For the District.
Thank you for having me.
This is episode 20, and you are the first co-host to read the introduction. So
I'm honored.
You are making moves. Dr. Breeden, we're going to start off the show like we always start off the show. And there's a very interesting question I want to ask you. Did you always know you wanted to work in education?
I did not. I graduated from high school, went to college, enrolled as a pre-law major. I was going to go to law school. My dad said I could argue, so that was going to be the best job for me. A semester in, discovered there was a lot of reading. Not that I don't love reading. As an educator, it's very important. However, political science was not my jam, so we made the shift to education. That was based on former teachers, people that had made an impact in my life, and then I worked at an after-school program in college.
Well, I know there are thousands of students in Madison County and Fayette County who are thrilled that you made the switch. Again, you're listening to the JMCSS podcast, episode 20. We're visiting with Dr. Carrie Ann Breeden. She's principal at JCM Middle School. You have two students with you today. They're off camera right now, but they'll be joining us later. So go ahead and tell us their names.
Okay. I have Cece and I have Karel. They are here with me today. They represent two of our houses, which I'm sure we will talk about in a bit. They are the house leaders. They are both in 7th grade.
We will talk about the house setup you have there at JCM Middle School. But first, diving a little bit with your background, take us behind the curtain. Did you talk about your start to administration? Did you start out in the classroom or your guidance counselor? Tell us about your path.
Started out in the classroom. Primarily, my teaching years were between the grades of 5th and 8th. So middle school focus for the most part. Transitioned out of the classroom into an instructional facilitator role when I was in a former district. Dr. King actually was a principal there, and he implemented an instructional facilitator program at his school. Then the other principals in the district followed his lead. I was committee chair on lots of committees, led different things in the school, so I was selected to be the instructional coach at that school. Completed that role for about 5 years. From there, I went to central office, worked in district leadership for 3 years, and then back to school leadership. Actually, the first principalship was in the school that I had taught and led as an instructional coach.
Now, having grown up in West Tennessee, what did you know about JCM before you took over as middle school principal here in Jackson?
Sadly, I didn't really know a lot about Jackson. I knew schools that we had played in high school. Being involved in athletics during my high school years, I knew of schools that we had played against in competition.
And you were principal at Fayette Ware?
Yes, yeah. I was principal at Fayette Ware. But I did not know a lot about JCM, so I had to learn some of the history. But it was very exciting to take on the role of starting the middle school from the ground up. So
now let's talk about, and you've implemented several things to impact, the term is climate and culture. And so let's talk about the house system for a moment. And I'll tell them a story you already know. So my son and I were playing basketball this weekend, and some other kids walked up and they introduced themselves. And as soon as they said, "Oh yeah, we go to JCM Middle," I couldn't wait to ask them about the houses they were in. And so the seventh and the sixth graders who were there talked about their houses. Explain that to the folks at home who may be listening. What is the house system? Why do you have it? What's its purpose?
Okay, so our house system is stemmed from, related to Ron Clark Academy. Been there multiple times and brought back his ideas. But the house system is essentially gives students the opportunity to be a family within the family of the school. We have 6 houses at JCM. Each represents the letter of Cougar. So we have House of Confidence, which is Maya. The O is Originality Pristinum. The U is Unity Umoja. G is Growth Kokura. A is Ambition, that's House Bury, and the R is the Risk-Taking, Riskavani. And each of those houses have a color, they have symbols that represent those core values. They stemmed from, we had a house core team of teachers. They developed the colors, the names, the symbols, the origin of the languages, all the parts, and made it so that you really truly feel and know the people that within your house. It's mixed grade level. You may have teachers in your house that are not your classroom teachers, but it's a family within a family.
I have so many questions about this because it's interesting, it's exciting. Having taught in the school system, I already know the benefit of a setup like this. First, if you're listening to the podcast on your phone or on the radio, we want to encourage you to check out our YouTube channel because you'll see video of last year's house reveal. And so when Dr. Breeden talked about the colors and the names, you'll see the students celebrating. Many of our school board members were at that reveal. It was just a really fun day, and I don't know if anyone remembers, but it snowed that day. Yes. Was it February of last year?
It was the end of January.
And it snowed. It was a very fun and interesting day. Anita Tucker over at Southside always talks about students needing to find their thing or find their place. And a lot of times, students don't find that until middle school, or most kids don't find that until high school when they play a sport or they get into a CT program like nursing or welding. You're allowing these students to find their place very early. Can you talk about that? And I'm especially interested in other teachers being in the group. So now they're learning not only the people they're in the building with, but that culture just gets to spread like wildfire in a very positive way. Can you speak more on that?
Yeah, sure. So with the house system and the students being grouped together, they first, before they are selected into a house or chosen by the house, they go through a series of learning all of the houses. The origin, what it means, the colors, how do we exhibit these core values? What do these core values mean to me? So there is a learning process to that, which gives you appreciation for your house as well as all of the other houses. With it being not your friends, sometimes your original friends that you're with are kind of spread through all of the houses. And so we have house lunch on Fridays where you sit with your house. And so you're not sitting with your regular lunch crew. We have house meeting that is a structured event where students talk about and reward the house members who have earned the most points, who have shown leadership. It gives some students also, you see students who may not always be the upfront spotlight students. You start to see leadership come from them in ways that you may have never been able to see if they weren't afforded this type of opportunity. One of those students is here today that is quite a shy person, but has come very much out of her shell with the house system.
You're listening to For the District. It's the Jackson-Madison County School System podcast on JJ 97.7 FM. We're visiting with Dr. Carrie Ann Breeden. She's the principal at JCM Middle. After this commercial break, we're going to dive into how our schools are more than just homework and test scores. And I think to hear you talk about the house system really puts a spotlight on that. Again, you're listening to For the District, the JMCSS podcast. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back. The Jackson-Madison County School System, Jackson, Tennessee's second largest employer, is recruiting talent for all departments and positions in preparation for the 2023-2024 school year. Join us on Tuesday, March 21st from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. at Liberty Technology High School for the JMCSS Career Fair. JMCSS has employment opportunities for teachers, skilled maintenance, bus drivers, food service, and more. Earn competitive pay and enjoy a flexible schedule in one of West Tennessee's most affordable communities. Join us on Tuesday, March 21st at Liberty Technology High School in Jackson for the JMCSS Career Fair. For more, log on to jmcss.org. That's jmcss.org. Choose us, Jackson-Madison County Schools.
Every morning at JCM Middle School, we try to build a culture and climate so that our students will be kicked off with a positive day. We start that in the car rider line with music. Also making sure students get out of the car, that they have a mask, they grab their breakfast right when they come in the building. We're able to do a temperature check on our students to check and see, is it a good morning? And if it doesn't appear to be a good morning, it gives us a chance to try to spark that up and just build our culture and climate here at JCM. In my experiences as elementary, middle, and high school principal, along with my teaching experience in elementary and middle school, I found that you have to get the culture right before you can put the academics in place. And so our goal here and our vision at JCM this year is to get our culture and our climate in place, and then the academics will fall in line. Our students have to know that we love them, they have to know that they're safe, they have to know that they're supported. Good morning. That goes for our parents as well, and that is our first goal here at JCM.
What's up, dude? You all right?
Welcome back to For the District, the JMCSS podcast on JJ 97.7 FM. We're visiting with Dr. Carrie Ann Breeden. She is the principal at JCM Middle School. Dr. Breeden, thanks again for joining us.
Absolutely.
We're also joined by Madam President, Correll Carruthers. Correll, welcome to the podcast.
Nice to meet you.
So first, Correll, let me ask you, what house are you a part of?
I am in Concord, the House of Growth Greenhouse. Our chant is us pronouncing the name, but we say it as K-U-K-U-K-U-R-A. Yeah.
Very cool. If you're just now tuning in and you missed the first part of the segment, rewind or get on iTunes, get on Google Podcasts so you can hear the first half of the segment so you can understand the conversation we're having about the house system at JCM Middle School. Correll, you are the student council president for the 7th grade. Why did you run for president?
I didn't get to run. My language arts teachers picked me.
Really? That's very cool. Why do you think they gave you that honor?
I feel like they gave me that honor because they knew that I would do my job and do as my role as the president of the student council. So I really like it too.
That's very cool. We're visiting with Correll Carruthers. She's a 7th grader at JCM Middle School. Correll, English language arts, you were telling us during the break, is your favorite subject.
Yes.
Tell us why you like language arts.
My favorite subject used to be math, but as I've gotten older, I've realized that math isn't really my subject. So now my favorite subject is reading because I get to imagine different things, reading different things, and I really like doing it. So
that's awesome. Dr. Breeden, you picked Correll to be one of the school representatives. Talk about your reasoning for picking this leader, other than the fact that she is Madam President.
Correll was selected to come with me today to represent and promote JCM. She, as you can tell, just from the few things that she shared already, is a born leader. She says that she was very shy. It took a little bit to come out of her shell. That is true. Starting off last year, she was a little bit reserved. Once we got into the house system, she stepped up, was very prideful, not just in the house system, but in JCM as a whole. And then at the end of the year, we made the selection of who would be the house leaders for the following year. And Correll's house leaders, the teacher leaders, selected her to lead that charge. And she is a school leader across the board. So,
And bringing this to life for the people who don't work in education, people who don't work with kids, let's do some compare and contrast. When students have pride in their school, what type of things do you begin to see as an administrator?
when a student has pride in their school, you see an increase in their academics. You see an increase in their attendance. You see an increase in those things of other students. Because if they see someone leading that, how fun, rewarding it can be, and that's the job of a leader, is to attract and bring more people on board. So Corell is a great leader. She's an example.
So let's play tennis here for a minute, or was it ping pong? Pickleball, okay. And so as you guys want to return it, now there are a lot of extracurricular activities on campus. Dr. Breeden or Corell, either one of you, talk about some of the other activities that students on campus like to be involved in. So I'm hitting it across the net, and either one of you want to hit it back, go right ahead.
Well, first off, we have our Cougar clubs where we do different things. Like I am in the club where we go to rescue shelters and bring food and stuff like that for the dogs and animals in the shelters. We have Family Fridays where we get to represent our house colors and represent our house. And 8th graders get to do it as well, and they get glow bugs since they can't have house points. Then we do.
If Corell, if I can interject, and Dr. Breeden, I thought that was something that was very interesting. Again, when I met these students, asking them what grade they were in, and one of the kids said, "Well, I'm not in a house," and I was like, "Whoa, you're not in a house?" I didn't understand it. So talk about the decision, and I understand it, but letting people at home understand the decision, because you wanted to do the right way, to start off the house system in the 6th grade with very new students rather than with 8th graders who are already past midstream of their middle school experience. Can you speak to that?
And part of this decision was made with the house core team, but we decided to start with that core 6th grade group, that cohort, so that we could truly teach, learn, and love to appreciate what that house represented. Because once you're in a house, you're in that house for life. You don't change each year. So those 6th graders are now 7th graders, and we had a house reveal this year for our current 6th graders. Next year, we will be full cycle, and everyone will be sorted into a house.
Now, Corell brought up glow bugs. It's very cool. You didn't forget about the 8th graders, showing them love. Talk about some other ways you all are providing those extracurricular opportunities for 8th graders.
Okay. We implemented last year, maybe the second month of school, Well-Dressed Wednesdays. So that gives students the opportunity to be out of dress code, but dress in a professional manner, because we know first impressions are big when you are going into the world for employability and other things.
And let me say this. You've worked with Dr. Marlon King longer than most other principals because you all work together in Fayette County. And as to hear you talk about Well-Dressed Wednesdays, and all these photos are filtering through my mind of the students in their, was it green and gold bow ties some of the students have, and you can tell some of the 6th graders are just now learning how to tie their tie. But it's the coolest scene because you're teaching them about presenting themselves in a professional manner. You're teaching them skills that if they continue to go down the right path, they're going to need one day. And so Dr. King has very much taught our school system that it's okay to have pride in yourself, but to also display that pride. And I think that was one of the things that was missing. And so when I think about the schools who promote themselves very well on social media or just in general, JCM Middle School is one of those schools, and it's because of that connection, I guess, you having worked under Dr. King for such a long time. Can you speak to that?
I think one of the greatest lessons Dr. King has taught me, as well as many other leaders, is you have to tell your own story. And so one way to tell your story is to put all of the positive out there, provide opportunities. Exposure is big for our group of students. I want to make sure they have exposure and opportunities outside of just regular academics. That includes, we have a huge fine arts program at JCM. We're the only middle school that has dance.
Say that again.
We are the only middle school that has dance.
You heard it right here.
We have a drumline team. They've been performing at basketball games, chorus, theater. Lots of opportunities for students to achieve and excel in a variety of areas outside of your regular academic programs.
So when you at the middle school level and Principal Dorsey at the high school level use this phrase, restore the roar, there are a plethora of examples of you all doing that, and I commend you for that. There's another student in studio that we will introduce you to right after this break. You're listening to the JMCSS podcast for the district on JJ 97.7 FM.
Hi, I'm Terica Smith, a local attorney and proud JMCSS graduate, but I'm also a JMCSS parent. We chose Jackson Madison County Schools for educational options that are innovative and challenging. Whether it's the Academic Academy at Northeast or early college and career opportunities at JCM Early College High, JMCSS offers classes and programs that will prepare my son for college and beyond. Plus, JMCSS is a Level 5 district and tuition free. It just makes sense.
Hi, I'm Greg Hammond, Chief of Public Information for the Jackson Madison County School System. With an increased focus in the fine arts, athletics, workforce development, and early career opportunities for students, there's never been a better time to choose us. Tuition-free, Jackson Madison County Schools. Visit jmcss.org today to schedule a tour or call 731-345-7011.
Everybody listen up! What? Maybe so! What color? What house chooses from the blue house of the cyclone? Green
Welcome back to the JMCSS podcast for the district. I'm Greg Hammond, Chief of Public Information for the Jackson Madison County School System. And in that role, I get to meet a lot of cool and interesting people. Allow me to introduce you to a pair of those. My new friends, Dr. Carrie Ann Breeden. She is principal at JCM Middle School. We're also joined by star student Cece Curry. She's a 7th grader at JCM Middle School. Cece, what house are you a part of at JCM?
I'm a part of the house Maya. Our chant is MAIA. Then the whole squad come in and say Yellow House Don't Play.
Again, if you're not familiar with the house system at JCM, we're going to ask you to check this out either on your Google Podcast, Apple iTunes. Rewind, make sure you catch the first segment as Dr. Breeden explained the house system that's very valuable there at JCM and really building a culture of family. Dr. Breeden, I do want to ask you about your fine arts. JCM Middle School is the only middle school in Jackson that has that dance component that's built into the schedule. It's a dance class. Talk about that and what you've seen from the students who take advantage of that opportunity.
I would say just our fine arts as a whole, that team of ladies work so well together. They have implemented several opportunities for students to perform and be showcased. Last year, we did participate in the Fine Arts Showcase that was held at the Old Hickory Mall. This year, at our Christmas concert event, it was a choral, dance, and band event. So showcased all of those things together, and I think the highlight of that is seeing students perform. And at that event, we had as many parents and community members there to watch that as we do an athletic event. And so that was nice and refreshing to see the appreciation for the arts.
Speaking of nice and refreshing and different, so I know there are some teachers that you all share with the high school. And so thinking about Nadia Beard, who's a dance teacher. So as a middle schooler, if you're participating in dance, you really get to grow and learn under Miss Beard for 7 years, right? 6th, 7th, 8th, and then your 4 high school years.
Yes.
I mean, think about the talent that's going to come out of JCM after they've had 7 years with Miss Beard or 7 years in band with Miss Little.
Right.
I would imagine there's some challenges that go with sharing the teachers, but for the students, the enrichment and the opportunities that are there, wow, I mean, that's exciting when you think about it.
It is. And those group of educators not only just work within the school to showcase the students, but as you know, many of them are involved in the community of Jackson.
Yes.
And so our students have exposure within the city and the county to continue to show off their skills.
And I've heard a lot of good things about the drum line there at JCM.
Yes.
I've also heard some things about Maya House, CC, and I don't know if Corel will appreciate this Maya House promotion we're going to do here, but CC, you talked about Maya House, and that's the house you're in. But what's your favorite subject there on the JCM campus?
My favorite subject is language arts because it taught me a lot. It taught me how to stand up and speak. It taught me how to socialize myself. It taught me how to bring out myself and explain.
And I think it's fun when you talk to the students, the pride that's beaming from their faces when they talked about their houses. Dr. Breeden, you took me back a few months ago. You were telling me the story about how CC was selected as the Maya House leader. She received a jacket. She received a basket. Tell me that story.
The house teacher leaders went through the students and determined which student had exhibited that core value, or really all the core values. But Maya House, just my house, the Yellow House. But CC, that is the house of confidence. And so CC was very reserved when she came in as a 6th grader as well. Not the leader of the pack, none of that. And so just to see her step up, take charge among her classmates, she was selected as that house leader. She is probably one of the most humble middle schoolers I've ever encountered in my 26 years of education across the board. When she was presented that house leader basket and jacket that day, she just kind of melted in emotion.
CC, do you remember how that made you feel and why you felt that way?
It made me feel like I achieved something in my things that I wanted to do. It made me stand out. It made me shine like how I wanted to feel. It made me feel good about myself.
That's awesome. Your favorite teacher is?
Miss Joyce, my language arts teacher.
Tell us about your language arts teacher.
My language arts teacher, she put a smile on my face every time I walk in her classroom. I love her so much because she taught me how the way I am today. Most of my things that I've.
That is awesome. Okay, we've been visiting with Dr. Carrie Ann Breeden, principal at JCM Middle, and we've also had an opportunity to visit with a pair of star students, Corel Carruthers, a 7th grader and student council president at JCM Middle School, and also CC Curry, a 7th grader at JCM in the Maya House. That's Maya with an I.
Yes, sir.
Maya with an I, the Yellow House, the House of Confidence. And I think it's cool because the way you explained the house that CC got chosen for, she's a very reserved person naturally, but through the lessons and the activities in the house system, that confidence has come out. And if you would, again, Dr. Breeden, the houses And Cece, if you want to help her name the houses one more time. I did learn, and I don't guess I knew that it's based on the letters of cougars.
Yes, it spells cougar.
Cougar. So C is confidence,
Confidence.
which is
Maya.
Maya. Okay. O,
Originality.
originality. Which house is that?
Pristinum. That's the black house. That's your house.
Whoop whoop. U.
Unity.
That's Blue House.
Umoja.
Now, although it's its own house, I would imagine all of these houses have a little bit of unity in them.
They do.
Yeah.
They do.
G.
Growth. Kukura. That's Corell's house. The greenhouse. She's like they're doing
she's
her
off camera
sign.
celebrating. Okay, A,
Ambition.
which is good to have.
It is.
Yeah.
Purple house.
Yeah.
That's
With
Bury.
ambition, you achieve some goals like Cece did. Okay. And then R is?
Riscavani. The risk takers, and that's the orange house. So we want all students to have all of those core values and exhibit them all.
You've been listening to the JMCSS podcast for the district here on JJ 97.7 FM. We want to thank Dr. Carrie Ann Breeden, principal at JCM Middle School, for visiting with us, and 2 star students, Corell Carruthers, Madam President. She's the student council president of the 7th grade there at the middle school. And Cece Curry, she's the house leader of Maya House. And her favorite subject is language arts. So we're looking for great things from both of these students. We want to thank you for spending your Sunday morning with us. Remember, you can check out the JMCSS podcast for the district on all of your platforms, wherever you check out your favorite podcast, whether that's Apple iTunes, Google Podcasts, Spotify. You can also go to www.jmcss.org/podcast to watch past episodes. We hope you have a great Sunday and a wonderful week. We will see you next time.